Goggin. I have the honor to be the mayor of Detroit. And for the last 2 weeks, Detroit has been the center of an overwhelming emotional outpouring with the loss of our cherished daughter, Aretha Franklin. And for longtime Detroiters, that emotional connection goes back even before Aretha to her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, one of Detroit and America's great civil rights leaders. Reverend Franklin was chief organizer of the Detroit Walk to Freedom on June 23, 1963. 100,000 Detroiters marched down Woodward Avenue, led by Dr. Martin Luther King and Reverend Franklin, walking arm in arm in Detroit's largest civil rights event. And at the end of that march, at Cobo Hall in Detroit, Dr. King delivered his first I Have a Dream speech, 2 months before the historic speech in Washington, D.C. And so as I watched this week, as tens of thousands of people lined up outside the Charles Wright Museum, blocks-long lines waiting to pay their final respects to Aretha Franklin, I thought back to those long lines on Woodward behind Reverend C.L. Franklin 55 years ago and thought the Franklin family has had a huge impact on the city of Detroit for more than half a century. We all know that young Aretha got her musical start right here in Detroit at the New Bethel Baptist Church Gospel Choir, was making her first recordings by the time she was 14, and in each of her 17 top 10 hits, each time she soared, it felt like the people of Detroit soared with her because she never lost her connection to our city. And of course, along with the successes she had in her life, she also suffered real tragedy. And when you listened to the raw emotional power of that extraordinary voice, you could feel both great joy and great loss. When Aretha Franklin sang, it felt like the voice of Detroit, didn't it? Which I'm sure is why every place I've gone the past 2 weeks, all I get asked is, what is Detroit going to do to honor Aretha Franklin? And I want to talk about that today. Because as we talk to those close to her and her family, one of the themes that kept coming up was that Miss Franklin loved the Detroit River, that she lived her last months in the riverfront apartments, that she seemed to draw spiritual power from the river itself, and that one of her favorite places in the world is Chene Park. Now, if you don't know the history of Chene Park, it was a project started by Mayor Coleman Young in the 1980s. Because then, right, if you wanted to go to an outdoor concert in the 80s, you had to drive up to Pine Knob, an hour away. It's a beautiful facility, but wasn't accessible to this community. And Mayor Young said, Detroit is the center of music in Michigan. We're going to have our own outdoor concert setting. And so, he went and took an abandoned barge dock site on Chene Avenue in the riverfront. And he said, that's where Detroit's going to have outdoor concerts. Now, I went to that first concert season in 1985. It was basically a stage and a bunch of blankets on a hill, right? That's the way it started. But even then, it felt special because it was ours. But over the next 5 years, Mayor Young built an amphitheater that could accommodate 6,000 people and a beautifully landscaped park that was an attraction to the city. And with the leadership of Shaida Mayusi, Chene Park has hosted many of America's great entertainers, Stevie Wonder and Jack White, Earth, Wind and Fire, Diana Ross, Run DMC, B.B. King, Ray Charles, and so many others. But the single largest event ever held was the 30th year anniversary of Chene Park, August 22nd, 2015. And the performer that evening was, of course, Aretha Franklin. And what makes Chene Park truly unique is we've kept to the original mission, that even with all those world-class performers, half of our concerts are either free at low-cost ticket, so it's a place that belongs to all Detroiters. And those concerts are now drawing nearly 100,000 concert goers a year. And anybody that was at last night's event knows it is now one of the finest outdoor music venues in the United States. And so I met with President Brenda Jones and talked to my partners on Detroit City Council. And today it is with their strong and enthusiastic support that I can tell you that on Tuesday I will be sending City Council a proposal to rename Chene Park. Our beautiful waterfront jewel will be Aretha Franklin Park. And when performers from generations to come, from around the world come here, they'll be reminded that they are performing at the home of the Queen of Soul. God bless you.